From Democratic Congresswoman to 2020 presidential hopeful to staunch Trump supporter, Tulsi Gabbard has had several transformations over the years. Her next potential chapter, Director of National Intelligence. The president-elect has selected Gabbard for the role, but her nomination comes with questions from critics, mostly surrounding her so-called relationship with America's adversaries and history of perpetuating harmful disinformation. In tonight's Prime Focus, our senior White House correspondent Selina Wang has a look at Gabbard's past and possible future.
She's really an amazing person.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's up for one of the most coveted cabinet positions in President-elect Trump's administration.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Director of National Intelligence.
We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future.
Once fiercely critical of Trump's presidency,
his list of wrongdoings and abuses of power is very long. He is not fit to serve as president.
The former Democrat from Hawaii reversing course, registering as an independent, then endorsing Trump after her own failed presidential campaign in 2020.
Now is the time for us to send Donald Trump back to the White House to be the 47th President of the United States, where we can stand together and make America great again.
But the 43-year-old former Congresswoman is mired in controversy. She has no intelligence experience, but would be overseeing 18 intelligence agencies with a $100 billion budget.
This is incredibly unusual to have someone who does not understand how intelligence operations happen, doesn't have any perspective of what it's like for these intelligence operations that happen across the community on the ground overseas, and how the intelligence community functions in terms of a national security entity. I wonder what it also does for the morale of the community, and I'm concerned about the exodus that may happen.
Gabbard served as a Democrat from Hawaii in the House of Representatives for 8 years, sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee and serving as vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. She endorsed Bernie Sanders for president in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020.
You know, I've been serving in the Army for over 20 years. I'm a lieutenant colonel and a commander of the Army Reserve today.
The Army reservist who served in Iraq has been accused by public officials of voicing an anti-American agenda that hurts the interests of the United States. Like this message she posted on X, blaming the U.S. for the war in Ukraine.
She said a number of things over the years that are at odds with U.S. intelligence analysis. Tulsi Gabbard met twice with Assad in around 2017, at a time when this was highly controversial. He was a sort of a toxic person. She didn't really give anybody a heads up that she was going to do this.
Bashar al-Assad is accused of war crimes against his own people during the Syrian civil war, which killed hundreds of thousands. A few months after the meeting, Gabbard said on CNN she was skeptical Assad used chemical weapons, despite overwhelming evidence from the U.S. government that he did.
Yes, I'm skeptical on these failed regime change wars that we've seen too often in Iraq, in Libya, and now continuing in Syria.
The Army reservist is vocally anti-war and has criticized Republican and Democratic administrations over military interventions.
The only place where she's advocated aggressive action is in fighting Islamic State and Islamic terrorism. Other than that, she's pretty much been consistent in saying the United States should not get involved in conflicts overseas. It's at odds with a great number of Republican senators who favor continued aid to Ukraine and a strong position vis-a-vis Russia.
For years, Gabbard rejected claims from high-ranking figures, most notably Hillary Clinton, that she's a Russian asset.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians.
I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country.
But Democrats continue to claim she is compromised.
She becomes a national security risk to the United States of America. She would not clear a national security exam on its face. If she had to go through it.
Senator Tammy Duckworth on CNN also expressing concerns about Gabbard's nomination for an intelligence role.
The U.S. intelligence community has identified her as having troubling relationships with America's foes. And so my worry is that she couldn't pass a background check.
Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, though, coming to Gabbard's defense, calling allegations that she's compromised outright dangerous. Gabbard has parroted Russian propaganda multiple times, most notably in this 2022 post on social media where she claimed Russia attacked Ukraine because of U.S.-funded biolabs.
According to the U.S. government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens. These labs need to be shut down immediately, and the pathogens that they hold need to be destroyed.
The labs are actually public and part of an international effort to stop bioweapons and prevent outbreaks. Gabbard reportedly said she didn't mean anything nefarious by the post, but she's propagated the same arguments that Russia has made to justify its invasion of Ukraine.
The Russian propagandists on Russian state TV called her our girlfriend.
Do you believe that she poses a risk to American national security in this role as Director of National Intelligence?
I do. It's really unprecedented to see someone who has repeated propaganda talking points that the Kremlin has pushed out.
If Gabbard gets the DNI position, she'll become one of President-elect Trump's top intelligence advisors.
This is a very powerful position. The person in that position controls the budget, can control what intelligence the president sees or how it's presented, can control what kind of sensitive information is declassified or not declassified.
And while Trump is stacking his cabinet with loyalists, it's ultimately up to the Senate to decide whether Gabbard is fit for the role.
History will look back on us at this moment for the choice that we make.
And if Gabbard is confirmed, the effects would ripple far beyond America's borders.
Foreign adversaries probably celebrate this moment. They have succeeded in putting someone that is sympathetic to their causes, regardless of whether you voted for Trump or not. You should be concerned about this type of individual leading the national security apparatus because it does have consequences for us here on the homeland.
Some are concerned about the global implications here. Our thanks to Selina Wang for that.